All right, we're live. I didn't get a chance to do the Friday Q&A video this week because I was doing some shows out in sunny Kalgoorlie with the band. So I figured we'd do a Sunday live stream. I'm going to try answer some of the questions from last week's video, as well as any questions that you guys want to ask me right now. So thanks for tuning in, and hello as well. Let's go to last week's video. I've got it here. So let's see. What do I think about the Marshall Silver Jubilee model was one question. And I've never played one in real life. The closest I have played is a buddy of mine had the first Marshall slash signature amp, which I believe is based, or is pretty much just a Jubilee. And that's easily one of the best sounding Marshalls I've ever tried. So, and I really like the Silver Jubilee model in the Axe, the Brit Silver, which sounds great. Really, really good. Sounds kind of like the DSL, I guess, which is one of my favorite amps. So yeah, I would really, really like to get my hands on a real Silver Jubilee because it's a pretty classic sounding Marshall, and the one, I guess, reissue of it that I've tried is really good. If you guys have any live questions as well, get them in. I would love to, riff with you guys and have a chat, or if you want me to play anything. Could you do a comparison between your Marshall JMP1 and the amplitude model of the JMP1? Yes, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to write it down right now. I can't do it right now, but I will remember that one because that is a really good suggestion. Hey, Nicholas Rivera in the house. How are you, man? I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. And this should be fun. Very, very fun. So I need to write that down, but to write it down, I need a pen. And that's a really good question. I could always just come back to this live stream, couldn't I? Ah, there's a pen. Miraculously falling from the sky. Yeah. All right, so I need to do amplitude. Just to prove that this really is live. All right. Thoughts on the atomic amplifier? It's very good. Pretty hard to beat for the money. The form factor, like I said, it doesn't quite do as much as like the Axe Effects stuff, but the amp models sound pretty good, and it's a really nice. I want to get one as a backup, basically, or an amplifier box or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Let me just do a question from last week as well. So, how do you recycle old strings? Put them in the recycling bin. That's what I do with them. Yeah, I don't find too much use for them. The only time I try to hang on to old strings is if I'm at a gig or we're on tour or something and I change strings, then I'll just keep all the old sets in case I'm in like a pinch and I need a spare or something like that. But otherwise, they go in the recycling bin at home anyway. Let's see. One more. There's a really good question about new bands and stuff like that, which I'll talk about in a second. Let's see, any live questions? Because you think there's a difference between string brands. What have I got sitting in my string cupboard? I've got, I think I use Ernie Balls most of the time, or Elixirs. And I can't remember who makes Elixir strings, but I might do like a video on this down the line. But I definitely noticed the difference between the Ernies and the GHS Boomers. I've tried Boomers a few times and I actually didn't like them too much. And the DR strings, which are okay, but I think my default is like just the Ernie Ball 10 to 52 or something. That's sort of what feels normal. That's what I've got on here at the moment. It's nice to play a clean tone after like a weekend of just screaming like rock guitar tones as well. So string brands, yeah, a little bit. It's more in like how fast they rust though. Ever played through a JVM 410H? Yes, we did a New Year's gig a few years ago, and then what was it? I think it was a backline kind of thing. It was a fly day, one of these uh, holiday towns up north, and I really, really didn't get on with it. I just couldn't get it dialed in, so I need to revisit that amp because the one time that I used it, which wasn't an ideal kind of testing setting, I couldn't get it sounding great. I actually ended up using a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe instead, and that sounded really good. And I couldn't get the JVM where I wanted it, but got to find a friend who has one and try it out. So the JVM models in the Axe Effect sound decent though, so that's a thing. How do I bring this up? There's my big knuckle. All messages are visible. That's what I want. Have you ever played an Ibanez Gem 7? The closest I've come to a Gem 7 is I've played a Floral Gem. Two of my friends bought Floral Gems at almost the same time. They're a little bit older than me, and they're both insane, insane guitars. I really like the Floral Gem. I totally get why those guitars have such a good reputation, but I've never played a 7V. And of course, I would like to. I would always like to try all these things. There's got to be a better way to do this. Anyway, live chat. Let's see. Tried Rotosound strings. Oh, yes. I really want to do that. Maybe I should get on eBay. Play a Lynch DeMartini lick. All right. Let me just save my preset that I've got here at the moment. I'll bring up my George Lynch preset. It's like a... here it is. All right, so a George thing to do would be, let's say we're playing in the key of E, right? And we're just playing over like E 80s rock. So we're doing E, C, D. Would be to like hit 1 5 flat 5, something like that. And then hit like the 3, and then maybe the flat 7 and 6. So something like that. And then get a, fast, and get a pinch. And then maybe something like that. And then to land on the flat 5, so something like that. So that would be the George thing, and I guess Warren would probably use less of the flat 5 stuff and just more of a... Maybe I should move those lights. Maybe I'll just turn this off. There we go. Does that any better? I'm on my phone, so this is pretty shocking. Cheap as EB, but they give you an extra high E string. Why haven't I been buying Rotosound strings all my life? That sounds amazing. That's too dark now. Let me turn that off. Art Vandalay is the best username of all time. I love it. That's so good. Let me just move this as well. This has been good fun so far. Yeah, so the Warren DeMartini thing, I guess he would be a little bit more of the kind of box shape sort of thing. This sucks. This sucks. These lights suck. My wife's giving me shit at the back about being Steven Spielberg. Hopefully this looks better. So if you're more in that Dorian blues box for a Warren DeMartini thing, So you go. And maybe. Oh man, I've been driving all day, so I suck. Let's see. Vandelay, are you an architect? Yes. Yes, Mr. Vandelay. All right, so I need to try some rotor sounds, I think. Any other questions that I missed? I heard there's only 3 factories in the world making string brands. Also heard, whoa, why is this falling down? Everything's happening. My phone sucks. Yeah, I've also heard that about the string factories. I don't know how true it is, but that seems like a question for Philip McKnight, which is his, like, that'd be a really good thing on his channel. I wonder if he's covered that. Yeah, maybe my phone camera is just like dirty or something. Whoa, what did I do? I didn't. Oh, whoa! Don't do that. Oh man, this is going mental. How about a Steve Lukather lick? Ah, Lukather lick. This is good. This is very good. Let me think. My favorite Luke solo is probably. Have you guys heard "Girl Goodbye"? He does this diminished-y kind of thing, which I don't know how to play. But maybe I'll do like the hold the line thing. I always remember hearing hold the line and going, that's how I want to play lead guitar. And you know, he does that. What is it in F sharp? The Tim's telling me that, so you got an Evertune into demo. That'll be fun. I want to see if it lives up to the myth. And yeah, the picture quality sucks because Australia is stuck in like the Stone Age with internet, so I apologize about all of that. I missed the question. So yeah, that's my really crap attempt at a Steve Lukather lick, like just F sharp minor pentatonic, tuck it in. Something like that. The Andy Timmons thing in the amp block, what I do is if you go to, you can use the multi-delay or you can just use the dual delay in the delay block. So if you go dual delay and you set tempo left to 1/4 and you set tempo right to a dotted eighth note, and if you set the dotted eighth note feedback to about 30% and the overall mix at like 25-30%. And all I do is add some input diffusion. So if you go to tone/duck, turn the diffusion up to about like 30 or 40%, you get this. Which isn't going to sound very stereo because I'm not running direct at the moment. This is phone audio. But yeah, that's kind of the Timmons thing. And if you want more of a wash, just crank the diffusion up. I might put up like a block or something like that for the AX8 for anyone interested in that. So yeah, there's that one. Someone asked last week if there are any other instruments that I'm competent on. and I was going to do a thing where I try to set up the drum kit in here and like play some drums, but I can kind of play a few drum beats. I don't think I could. I definitely couldn't play a gig on drums unless it was for like a horrendous indie band kind of thing where it's purposefully bad. Um, but I can kind of play bass. I can find my way around on a piano. I was doing a session, like a pop writing thing with someone last week, and it needed some keyboards on it. And it was one of those things where I could just walk up to the piano and go, yeah, cool, it needs these three chords and I know where to play them. So I can kind of do that. You guys definitely don't want to hear me sing. So I reckon I could put together like a terrible garage rock song and play all the instruments and shout on it. That would never see the light. And I've done that before, which is no one's going to hear that except for my friends, sort of making joke songs. So yeah, I don't think I'm really competent at anything, but I'm sufficiently incompetent at most of the instruments in a rock band, I guess. I can't play like violin or any wind instruments or anything like that. Nothing special. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Slide guitar to me is like a whole other instrument as well, so maybe that counts. And I'm a terrible slide player. So that was a pretty interesting question. Let's see the live questions again. Show me the live chat now. Oh man, this sucks. Everything sucks. What do I do? What do I do? How do I get there? Look at me. I can't even use the. Let's see. Yeah, about that one guy who just solved an old prime number theory. I did. I haven't read the like anything else about it. It kind of popped up on one of these things that a friend of mine was like, "Dude, did you see this?" And it was well above my pay grade. But I need to go and I got like a week off from teaching the next week, so I'm gonna do some reading and some nerding out about that. If I press this button. Yeah, this is really cool. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in at the moment as well. Yeah. This light, yeah, the light sucks. I need to do something permanent about the lighting in here. Maybe I'll turn it off. There's like another one back there as well. No, that's cool. This is better, maybe. Who knows? This is all very intimate now. Max Carton guitar. I'm well, man. I'm pretty tired and I look like shit, but yeah, thank you for tuning in. So hopefully there'll be an Evertune demo in the next week or something. That's cool. Uh, yes, everything sucks. Had a gig yesterday, nearly nobody came, although there were more than 140 tickets sold online. Oh, dude. So like you sold the tickets, but then no one showed up? Um, at least you sold the tickets, I guess. Or would you rather more people show up and sell less tickets because then the gig's going to have more of a vibe? I'd probably do that. Any chance of Ragdoll playing in Tokyo? Oh, dream gig for me. If we can make it over there, that's like my ultimate goal. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I think the hardest thing there is trying to find distro or something, which kind of in the process of trying to hunt somebody down at the moment. So if you have any leads, please let me know because I recently went on holiday to Japan with my wife and loved it, and really would like to get over there and play some music. Just 10 people came. Ah, man, that sucks. People suck. Except you guys. You guys are really cool. Um, yeah, that's a shame, man. The gigs we were doing weren't ticketed gigs. I guess it works a bit different in Australia a lot of the time. Pub gigs, you just kind of play all night, and you get paid a set fee, and we do like a bunch of classic rock and classic metal, and do a bunch of our own stuff as well, which is pretty cool. So it's a cool crowd. And the West Coast Eagles won the grand final in the AFL while we were there, so that's kind of the most important thing. That was it. All went silly, so it was a fun gig. That's I guess the most important. Um, on the whole like playing thing, someone last week asked me a question. A question asked me a question. If I had any advice for new bands starting out now, and I think the thing when Ragdoll started putting out music in 2011, I think, the thing that's changed is that the streaming platforms have like taken over everything. We put our CD out independently, and we had it on like CD Baby and stuff like that. I would say until about 2 years ago, we were still selling lots of CDs through CD Baby, and that's kind of dried up a little bit. But the number of streams we've been getting has increased rapidly, which means that we're basically making less revenue from CD sales. But I think the advice I would give is that just your treat your band like a brand, and then make everybody in the band responsible for making some kind of content, whether all right, hopefully we're back, and hopefully you haven't all left. Basically, if you've watched Ola England's video, his advice that he gives about just sort of making stuff all the time. So rather than focusing on this like 2 or 3 album cycle thing, focus on having something out every week or every month, whether it's a little demo video of a playthrough of a song, or whether it's just a behind the scenes thing, or it's a live Q&A thing or something like that, or you're uploading covers. Engaging your fans through social media is going to be the best way to actually sort of to monetize what you're doing, and then hopefully getting your act to the stage where it's ready to tour. And the big advice would just be try to own all your own stuff and own your music, the rights to it, because essentially you're going to be giving that away so that you can sell apparel, and so that you can sell, memberships to a fan club or something like that. So that's kind of where the money's at the moment with bands, and where building a fan base is. So that was a question from last week, not a live question. All right, what pickups do I have in my SC245? They're the stock SC245 pickups. I think they sound amazing. Everyone asks me about that guitar and what pickups are in it. And I got really, really lucky with that one. Like I said, I picked it off the wall at a Guitar Center in like North Dallas, 2014. And I went like, and it just sounded so good. And I went, yep, I'm going to buy this guitar. And the rep's like, oh, are you sure you don't want to just plug it in? And I did, and it sounded really good. So it's it sounds really good acoustically, and the pickups really complement it. How about Chop Tones IRs? Their stuff's decent. I think their preset packs are sort of their strong point. I haven't tried a lot of their IRs. I'm a bigger fan of the Ownhammer stuff and Justin York stuff. And if you're a Fractal guy, the ML stuff's really good too. There's so many good options. Most of them are really good nowadays, so it's hard to go wrong. At the moment, what IR am I using? I'm on my George Lynch preset. I'm using an IR that I made. All right, what are my thoughts on the Kemper? I wonder if Jesse Tate's going to tune in, because he's always asking me when I'm going to try a Kemper. It's a great unit. When I tried it, a friend of mine owns one, and he went away for like 2 weeks, and he left it with me for 2 weeks, and I profiled all my amps. I took it into the studio, and it was wicked. I think like any of this modeling stuff, understanding what it's trying to do, it's trying to replicate the whole signal chain of an amp and a speaker cab and a microphone, and using the studio EQ in the Kemper to sort of cut out some low frequency and cut out some high frequency really, really helps, making that unit a lot more usable. And I think if you want a very tactile user interface, the Kemper is going to make you happy. And I totally get why so many people prefer that unit to other modelers. There's certain things like if you want to have accurate models of the Mesa Mark series amps, which use like a pre-EQ and a post-EQ kind of thing, it's just not going to work. But I would love to own a Kemper just so that I can profile all my amps. But I've kind of been doing that with the XFX3 now. You can essentially amp match. So I kind of, I would love to have one, but I guess I don't really have a use for it. So I would probably divert the money elsewhere at the moment. But for the Kemper stuff, the chop tones profiles are very good, and the Syn Mix profiles are very good. And those guys make Axe Effects presets as well, which sound awesome. So yeah, it's like I've said before, just pick one and just run with it. I love the Fractal kind of universe, and I think the advantage with the Fractal stuff is the community aspect around it and the way the company supports their products and pushes firmware updates and takes on requests from their users. So yeah, it's pretty good. Makes my Tremonti sound like a toddler. Well, maybe get some SC245 pickups in it. I can't remember what the Tremonti has in it, but yeah, they're good. They're really, really good. Where are we at in this chat? Sorry, man, I totally missed your question. Axe 8 versus Mark V 25 for small gigs. Yes, it can capture the feel of a real tube amp. You just have to remember that if you're running it straight to PA, it's the sound of a mic'd tube amp. But having said that, the Mark V, if you're going to own an amp, just like if you're going to own one amp, a Mark V would be a pretty good candidate because they sound incredible. I haven't tried or have I? What one have I tried? Maybe I've tried the Mark V 35. I definitely tried the big one. And this was years ago. We had an amp shootout day at my buddy's studio, and the two we had like 20 amps or something like that, and the two amps that everybody just lost their mind over was my Soldano and this other guy's Mark V. So yeah, if you just want to get an amp and plug it in, I reckon the Mark V 25 or maybe a Soldano Hot Rod 25 would be, or a Stereotone Son of Yeti, because the Son of Yeti sounds amazing as well. They're both really good. I think the AX8 is better for recording and it's better for practice just because you can control the volume so much. But if you really like amps, there's nothing wrong with really liking amps and just getting a great amp. And the Mark Vs are a great amp. And that's my question. No, that's your question. Answer it. Man, I'm tired. Always prefer tube amps on stage, although I have an Axe Effects for you. I mean, tube amps have a thump, man. The transient frequencies are different, the response is different. So if that's what you like, do it. But have you tried the Axe 3 with a power amp and a cab? Because that sounds pretty thumpy to me. All right, I need to go back in this chat so I don't ignore. Sorb 62, Hot Rod 50 Plus owner. Yeah, good choice. All right, I think I'm up to date with this chat. Yeah, the studio tour thing, I think is going to happen soon. My only hesitation is that if I put all my cool stuff on the internet and someone finds out where I live and then they steal all my stuff, it's like my worst nightmare. So maybe I'll do a video where I do like a playthrough somewhere else with all my guitars. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'm just being paranoid. But yeah, a little studio tour. I think I'm kind of like getting the Axe 3 and sort of making that the brain of the studio is like a work in progress at the moment. So I'll definitely be doing that. And my friend Troy just opened a studio that we're recording the next Ragdoll album at. So I want to do a little studio tour video of his place because his place is legit. It's a great, great studio. What gauge strings do you use in E standard? 10 to 52 for me. I find they work really, really well. And the boy, yeah, if you're falling back and the amp's so loud that it props you up, right? But yeah, I think it's one of these things where for me the Fractal stuff sounds so good and it's so easy to use that it just makes my life easier. And anytime I stand in front of a 412 and jam on amps, it always feels so good. But that's not what the audience is hearing. So there's that thing of like, I want to know what the audience is hearing as well. All right. Whoa, what's going on? Helix versus Axe Effects. Axe Effects is the only device that has a strange behavior on the overtones and how they distort. Helix does the same as my Diesel. Yeah, I don't know. If you like the Helix better, it sounds like you do. Use it. It's so dependent on the guitar that you're using and how you like to play and what sort of sounds you like and the impulses that you're using as well. So the amp modeling in all of them is really good. The Fractal stuff for me is what I like. It's like It's like someone saying like, "Hey, do you like chocolate ice cream or do you like choc chip ice cream or do you like vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce?" It's all got ice cream. It's all pretty good. It's just like a tiny little personal preference. So, look, the Helix user interface, amazing, really, really great. For me, the fractal amp modeling and the IRs and the sort of like if you're a guitar player, the response and the feel is really good. So, I've said this 100 times before. So, use whatever one you think is the best because everybody's got opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and no one wants to admit that they sting. So, the Lassie Lamet stuff, man, I really, really like I like his videos. He was one of the guys I first saw doing like amp shootouts. So, Lassie is a bit of an inspiration for this channel. A bit of inspiration, a big inspiration for this channel. I love his tone. So, if I ever get a Kemper, I will probably use his stuff because he's pretty cool. He's got a vintage modern. Yes, excellent choice. I love those amps. Congrats, Max. Make some clips with it. Share it with the world because that's a great, great amp. Let's see. There we are. Yeah, the AX8 is really good into a power amp return. I think I did a video into my dual rectifier return. You're basically just using it as a preamp, and yeah, it sounds, if you've got it with a good power amp, it's going to sound great. So running into like a DSL 50 or a Mesa dual rec or something like that, sounds amazing. Really, really good. Well, I mean, this is for Alexis. Yeah. Um, like I said, man, like, if you've made up your mind, I don't think I don't think I'm going to help you change your mind anyway. So the Axe FX 3, if you haven't played one yet, um, try to do it because yeah, I wasn't, I was like on the fence about it when it came out and then I got it and it was like, I see what you're doing here. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. My formal musical education is nil. Um, my dad plays guitar, which I've talked about. I'm going to do a video with that guy. That'd be really fun. It's like a jam thing because he's a great player. And so, yeah, he would always show me a bunch of stuff, and he's pretty sharp with his theory and stuff like that. And I just read like every guitar magazine I could, every guitar book from the library. I just kind of like automathed it. Um, and I guess one thing is like the most important thing in my musical education was joining a band and doing gigs because that taught me more about what actual music is and what is important about it than anything else. So, yeah, that taught me more than like any book I never had formal lessons or anything like that. So, and nowadays, because you've got YouTube, you can learn from anybody, which is pretty amazing. Um, I always thought about doing like a formal kind of thing. One of my best friends is he's got an honors degree in music, in double bass, and I love talking to him because I just learn new cool stuff all the time, and he always turns me on to cool like classical stuff and modern composition stuff. So yeah, I mean going to university and doing maths was cool because I got access to like all the music library stuff. I did a few like world music classes there, and that was pretty cool. I just said I had like no formal education, but yeah, that was more of a like, history of music kind of thing that I did at uni. Right, where are we? Yeah, I got to do something on the IR loader block, Nick. Um, I Again, it's like on that list of videos to do that is ever growing. Um, Wireless versus cable. It depends. How much do you like crowd surfing? If you like crowd surfing, go wireless. That'll be fun. And if you don't, just yeah, cable's pretty good. I think nowadays it all sounds pretty good. So yeah, that's that's my very very serious answer. Ooh, this guy got an Engelsteed morph. Steve Morse. I've really wanted to try one of them. I've never had an Engel in here to demo. Engel Invader, someone's talking about there too. Yeah, I really should. I'd love to like get a Powerball to try or something like that, and a Savage because I love the Savage model in the Axe FX. I think that would be that'd be a pretty fun amp to try out and demo some tones. So yeah, and I've heard the Steve Morse stuff's great. One of the best guitar sounds I've ever heard. We played a festival a few years ago, and Last in Line, like, you know, basically Dio without Dio, were playing, and Vivian Campbell, I can't remember which Engels he uses, but he was just plugging a Les Paul straight into one, and it was just the best rock guitar, like the best live rock guitar sound I've ever heard. But I'm sure he could plug into anything and make it sound good. All right, back to the questions. Ever tried any Ibanez or ESP? Yeah, I've got an Ibanez RG550 here, which I love. That's really, really great. And the ESP stuff, I've played quite a bit of it. And yeah, always very, very impressed. The STR guitar that I own is kind of like ESP-ish. It's more of like a vintage take, but it's a Japanese-made thing. So yeah, I have a very high opinion of Japanese-made guitars. All right, where are we? Do you use an audio interface or the Axe effects? Either. It depends what I'm doing. A lot of the time for tutorial videos, I need to record the Axe and record my voice at the same time. So I use the interface because it's just easier. But a lot of the time, if I'm doing comparison videos, I just use the USB audio in the Axe FX3 because it's, again, in that case, it's just easier. And then I can also track a DI signal and reamp stuff later. So that's the big advantage of the Axe 3. This is great. So many questions. Someone's got an Engel Savage 120. I'm a little bit jealous. That's pretty great. Let's see. Oh, okay. Recommendations for guitar books and videos. If you want to shred, like, you know, that was a really terrible impression of, I don't know what that was. Paul Gilbert's Intense Rock video is great. Any of Paul's instructional stuff I really like. Ted Green, what's it called? Ted Green Chord Chemistry. Get that. You'll love it, and it will teach you how to be able to fake jazz. And that's such a beautiful book. And his like jazz single note soloing books and chord construction books is so good. So yeah, any of Ted Green's stuff. Like I said, for video stuff, the Paul Gilbert stuff's really good. Steve Morse, Vinnie Moore. What are some of my other favorite videos? Danny Gatton's videos are really, really great. And I guess for the modern stuff, who's really good? All the Lick Library stuff's really cool as well if you're into rock guitar. Any of Jamie Humphrey's stuff, he's a great teacher. Andy James does some great stuff. Any of Rabeer's stuff. Those kind of guys. So it's kind of hard to go wrong these days, which is pretty cool. Let's go back to the chat. Let's see. What are my favorite amp sims for high gain and clean? My go-to, so it depends on what sort of high gain. If I'm doing like a rock gig, like I was over the weekend, I use the Fractal Audio Atomica High with one of Justin York's IRs, and that's my sound. Stock settings, plug a Les Paul in, sounds fantastic. For really heavy stuff, I like the dual rectifier sim, Recto 1 Red or Recto 1 Orange, and I also like the Bogner Uberschall model. That's kind of my main sound at the moment in the Axe FX3. Sounds pretty great. So yeah, Atomica, Uberschall, Rectifier, or the Mesa Mark V C+, for dirty stuff. And for cleans, I've got this clean preset I'm kind of vibing on at the moment. Where is it? Yes, right here. This is the Fender Deluxe model, so sort of like the Deluxe Reverb. so that one's, yeah, one of my favorites. I think the Tweed Deluxe model and then the Lone Star Clean are sort of my go-tos in the X3. Oh, and the Morgan AC20 is gorgeous as well. Trying to keep up. Oh man, Troy Grady. Troy Grady. Of course, of course. If you want to get into his stuff's the best, I think, for picking mechanics and stuff like that, because he's kind of like summarized all the 80s shredders into one series. So for instructional stuff, Troy Grady, Cracking the Code, signed, sealed, delivered. There you go. That's how you play. That's how you shred, pretty much. So I love his stuff. Let's see. Trying to keep up. This is fun. You guys are great. PC amp sims. Okay, thanks for clarifying. So for high gain, I think, ooh, this is hard because I tried the Fortin Nameless suite. I reckon the Fortin Nameless suite and Mercurial Reaxis are my two favorites. And then for cleans, do I ever play clean? Sometimes. Mercurial, actually the Mercurial SS11 that I just did a demo of is my favorite clean amp sim at the moment. Or the PRS Waves is like the Waves PRS supermodels are really good too. So yeah, I mean most of the time I just kind of, if I'm using a built-in amp sim, it's probably going to be Reaxis. It has nice cleans, it has nice dirty tones. But the Nameless is really good for a plugin. I'm super into that, and same with the SS1 one. That's a great sounding plugin for clean stuff. Okay, chord chemistry, yes, it's good. Actually, still have 2 weeks test before I decide to send it back, but you're right, it's a matter of taste. Yeah, man, I mean, Fractal are cool because you can buy from them and then return, they've got a return period, and the reality is not every piece of gear is going to work for everybody. How long did it take before you were able to make something that represented something musical or something you thought wasn't trash? Well, I don't know if I can replicate this. Maybe I can. Maybe I can replicate this in the axe really quickly. Because the first thing I ever played on the guitar was, let me just bring up a patch. Probably sounded something like this. I had a Zoom 707 and it had like a step filter in it. So let me see if I can get like some kind of, I'll just use a phaser, even though it's not quite the same. Yeah, let's do that. So it would have been this, and it was 3 notes. They were the like first 3 notes I ever played on guitar. It was just like E, F sharp, and G. I didn't know that's what they were. Had this like crazy spatial effect on it, like that's close to the sound, I guess. I had headphones and I had this little guitar and I had the 707 with this like phaser effect on it. I just thought it was the coolest sounding thing. And I reckon I probably played those 3 notes for like a month. Just sitting there going, oh my God, I'm a rock star. This is great. So, and that kind of was musical. I was more like focusing on like how cool a sound was rather than, what I was doing. But I reckon for me, probably by the time I was like, I probably started playing seriously when I was 14. Probably it took about a year to actually be able to play some songs pretty confidently. And like I practiced a lot. I got super obsessed with guitar, really like straight off the bat. So yeah, but I reckon within a year I could like play songs all the way through and play guitar solos and sort of play, have a little bit of vibrato happening. And by the time I think I was 16, like I could actually play some stuff. And it felt like the last 14 years have just been like how to suck slightly less. So I sort of like learned most of the basics in those first 2 years, and then you just work on musicality rather than technique. All right, David Suzuki, thanks for answering my questions. Yes, my pleasure, dude. What monitors are you using? For everything, I'm using Adam A7X monitors. So I think they sound really good. A buddy of mine has some focal monitors, which are like huge, beefy things in his studio, and they sound ridiculous, and they're a lot more expensive. So, but the Atom A7Xs are really good. If you don't have the money to buy A7Xs, check out the what are Samsung Resolve monitors. I think they sound wicked. Like I kind of prefer them to the KRK stuff, which is pretty good too. So, yeah, any of that stuff. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you'll be able to dial in pretty good tones on anything, I think, anyway. Were there any more questions from last week? Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of questions. Maybe I should check my Facebook page because there were a couple there. Yes, I'm going to do that now. Oh, someone asked about the Pantera mouth for Wartone. I will do my best to get onto that. Okay. I'm going to go to my Facebook page and see if there are any more questions. And then we'll probably wrap this up pretty soon. In the meantime, I'm going to do some playing. And let's see. Yeah, we'll use this. Shocking. I'm playing like garbage at the moment. Not nailing anything. It's just whittle. That's how I feel at the moment. I'll feel better tomorrow once I've had a coffee and, asleep. Let's see. This is taking a while to load. Maybe there's some live questions I've kind of ignored. Oh, cool. Lassie's got an axe pack. Interesting. That's good to know. I didn't know that. They're the Utopia BE focals. I don't know. To be honest, I'll have to double check with my man Troy. Let's see. Oh man, slow internet. Other than that, if you guys have any more questions for the live chat, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Is there a big tone difference between the AX8 and the XFX3? Tone difference. Not really. Like, if you've seen my comparison between the AX8 and the 3, the most recent firmware on the AX8 sounds fantastic. I think modeling's at that stage now where it's not really about, like, how good it sounds or how close it sounds because it's all there. It's more about, like, accuracy. And I think the AX3 is a little bit more accurate. But that doesn't mean it's better. It's like the AX8 tones are amazing and the AX3 tones are amazing as well. So I still think if you're looking for like the best value for money amp modeler, it's probably the AX8. The XFX3 is like an absolute beast for like everything. Using it in the studio, like I've been using it in the studio, and the ability to just like, it's so fast. It's sort of really helps with workflow stuff, and it's just so easy to dial up tones and track DIs and record USB audio and stuff like that. And there's just so much room for growth with it, which is really exciting, especially once the foot controllers come out, which I'm pretty pumped about because then that will add a whole new level of functionality to everything. But for playing live, I'm still using the AX8 and it's still killing it. It sounds amazing. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the which one sounds better because they both sound so good. It's more a case of like which one's going to fit your budget and what you need it to do. Let's see. Hell good Doogs. Yeah, man, thanks for tuning in. I don't expect people to stay super long, but based on your pre-production video, is there new Ragdoll stuff on the horizon? There is. I don't know how far away the horizon is at the moment. At the moment, I would say probably middle of next year. Hopefully, we have some like touring stuff in the works, which can go along with it, and it's sort of going to be based around that. When we release it, we want to be able to release it and back it up with live shows, which is the most important thing, I think. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. We've got we've got a bunch of stuff coming up like in October and November, where we've got a few like kind of bigger shows interstate, one of which is a corporate show, and one of which we're actually essentially somebody's backing band coming up. So there's going to be like a bit of work going into those shows, which probably means we won't be like in the studio as much. But then at the same time, hopefully the end of this month, end of October, we'll be able to get into the studio and start doing some vocals. So maybe there'll be a single out at the end of the year and a video, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, middle of next year is kind of like sort of the rough time frame, I think. Because with these things, it's like, you know, tracking everything's one thing, but it's the whole like how we're going to promote the album, how, you know, how many tours are we going to try and do off the back of it? You know, what's the touring cycle going to be like for it? And then getting stuff like all the artwork done, all the sort of promo stuff off the back of it, playthrough videos, which I want to do. I want to be able to do like have a package where, you know, if you want to buy like the multi-track masters with stems as well, or if you want a guitar tab book to go with it, I want to try and get that stuff done. So yeah, it's one of those things where I think the three of us, when we started the band like 8 years ago, our lives outside of the band now are so much more like busy. Like Ryan, our singer, has 4 kids, and so he's like family of 6. So he's always got stuff going on, and he's got a big workload, and then you know, between for me work and life and doing the YouTube thing as well, that fills up a lot of time. And then yeah, we've just been like thankfully very lucky with a lot of gigs. So the flip side is that we've been like pacing the studio stuff, whereas normally we're going for like 3 weeks, get it all done, smash it out, and we don't have to do that now. So we're trying to have a bit more fun with it and let all the ideas marinate and make sure we actually put out something that we're going to be really happy with for the studio thing. All right, got my Facebook page. Let's see. Globalist swine. That's fantastic. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question from Jeff. Are you a fan of any artist, band, or music that you would consider a guilty pleasure? Yeah, man, I love yacht rock, and I love 90s hip hop and R&B. That's probably my biggest guilty pleasure. Anything with like anything by like TLC or Destiny's Child or something like that is pretty cool. So that's a guilty pleasure. Yacht rock, big time. And then I love all the new like synthwave and retrowave stuff, like bands like The Midnight and Gunship, and yeah, down with that. And of course, Dokken. Dokken's the ultimate guilty pleasure. All right. So that was the only question on Facebook this week. Let's see. All right. I'm going to maybe make this the last question. Art Vandelay. Ever cross paths with any of your guitar heroes in your travels? Yeah, a couple of them. Probably the coolest one was Snake from Skid Row, because I love that first Skid Row album so much. And I said that to him. We opened for them in LA, and he was just hanging out, being a cool guy. And I said to him, I was like, hey man, I just really want to say that, you know, your first album arrived at a very important time in my life, so thanks. And he just goes, oh dude, it arrived at a very important time in my life too, ha ha ha. So that was pretty funny. And then we have these like slap band beer holders, which I think are on our web store if anyone wants to buy one. If they're not, I'll fix it. But you know, you can put your beer in it, or you can do that. And we showed him those, and he wanted one, so that totally made my day. And I got to have dinner and hang out with Doug Pinnick, and he's like my idol, so that was pretty great as well. And John Five. John Five's a really nice guy. Yeah, that's pretty cool. From Germany, man, thank you so much. I'm really, really glad that you like the channel. It still spins me out that whether it's the channel or whether it's like the Ragdoll stuff, that people all around the world get to experience and we can share it. So I guess that's kind of the power of music, right? All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I've nearly been on for an hour. This was Sunday Q&A. If you guys like the live stream format, I can do more of it. I would love to do this. Maybe we can just sort of alternate. We'll do like a pre-recorded one and then a live one, or maybe I'll do a live stream every month or something. So let me know in the comments if you have requests for the next Q&A video, which will be out on Friday, I promise. Let me know and I will get them in, and tell your mates. And until then, be excellent to one another. Yeah, and you know, just try to be a decent person. You know, because guitars cool and music's cool, but the like actual people that you care about in your life are a little bit more important, I think. I got some like crappy news about a friend of mine during the week, so I'm getting all emo on you guys. But yeah, be good to one another, and stay in touch, and I will see you guys very soon.